afternoon and evening cultural events. By purchasing pertinent books from a Ukrainian bookstore in New York, he gave speeches as best he could on the history of Ukraine and about writers and poets. Children, myself included, had to recite that poetry on the stage with a well-practiced exaggeration of voice and gestures. He produced, directed, and acted in plays and organized concerts of folk music and dancing, and for the dramatic enactment of the arrival of St. Nicholas. He went to night school to learn English, and after he became a citizen, he taught classes in the basement for anybody else who might want to be a citizen, including my mother. When it became known to the Ukrainian community that Stalin had deliberately starved 4 to 5 million Ukrainians in 1931 and 32, my father organized a protest rally in a very large rented hall with imported speakers. Just before the Depression, just before I was born, and Anna was 14 years old, they moved out of the slums at long last. They acquired a mortgage and they built a house in the suburbs. So I was fortunate to be brought up in a woodsy area, lovely area. My sister had spent her first 14 years in the slums. My mother worked at the mortgage, however, was a huge burden during the Depression. Once the Depression began, my father could no longer find steady work. He could only find odd jobs. My mother, with me only 3 years old, she worked from 5 in the afternoon to 5 in the next morning, cleaning in an insurance building and in a restaurant getting ready for the morning trade. Education for the children of the parish was a distant dream. My sister, though, she beat all the odds with great determination, which actually many of the children of the immigrants were able to somehow work their way out of this rather desperate depression situation. She worked for 2 years, saved her money, continued working as a secretary, and went nights to law school. And in due time, she became a lawyer, much to the pride of my parents. As a woman lawyer, she struggled to survive in a white male society, eventually becoming assistant district attorney of Suffolk County and assistant attorney general of the state of Massachusetts. When she retired to Los Alamos with my mother, she became probate judge here. Anna Chopek, some people knew her. When she turned 92, this lowly immigrant child was very proud indeed to go back to Boston to receive an honorary PhD from her law school for her pioneering work as a woman lawyer. So these immigrants managed somehow. My husband was a low-temperature physicist here. His father was a priest sent here to minister to Ukrainian immigrants. In 1948, 69 years ago, he and I moved to this unique, multicultural, and friendly town, never regretting it for a single day. I had a bachelor's in physics, but the coming of our children, followed by a severe illness, prevented any chance of my using it here. My sister and I and my husband were ever so grateful that my parents and his parents came to the United States. How different our lives would have been if we had not had that opportunity. I am now filled with dismay to see that America tries to exclude whole ethnic groups, religious groups, under the pretext that they may be terrorists, that blacks still come under suspicion for being black, that the sense of white entitlement seems to be growing. Will our worldwide reputation for diversity and inclusion now be one of exclusion? I fervently hope that we can turn things around. Thank you. I am open to questions, I believe, now.
Where did you grow up? You said your
Boston.
parents. But
Boston.
what neighborhood? You said
Oh,
your parents.
It was a new suburb, Mattapan. Well, it
Okay.
wasn't exactly new, but it was uninhabited.
Okay.
And then we both went to Yale to graduate school, and then we came from Yale here. Yes?
Since you've been here for 69 years, how do you feel about how Los Alamos has evolved over the years?
It's been, I have enjoyed the people here tremendously over the years. I have come to know many, many people from way back then, and I continue to meet new people. And I feel as though the town, well, there are problems. I mean, we cannot say our town doesn't have problems, but it's kind of funny to go to a meeting, a town meeting with all the scientists. They know how to nitpick everything, and they know the numbers to the 10th and 100th degree. But the town tries, and I think it's a good thing.
Stephanie, I'm interested just because I'm a little bit teary. Sorry, I'm Heidi.
Yeah.
So, thinking about this is our first event as One Los Alamos. Sorry. Okay. So this is our first event, and we want to do what you're talking about. Thinking about how cool our community is. How do we bring each other together? I love that I'm standing in a room with many people that I've never met before. And we're all here because we're interested in the topic, we're all interested in being here and getting to know each other. How would you guide this work that we want to do?
How do we what?
Oh,
How would you guide us?
How do you guide us? What do you think? What should we be doing together?
I think there are many groups in Los Alamos. I don't know of another place that has as many different groups, and I think it's in this kind of an organization that people come together of diverse origins, and by talking in your groups and continuing to have that kind of camaraderie, which I think in Los Alamos is really more obvious than when I have gone back to my city of Boston. It's different living in a big city, and of course there's opportunities there too, but we have a special opportunity because the lab is, people all work at the lab, they know each other. There's all kinds of opportunities to join and make a cause and go do something.
Thank you.
It also occurs to me that Los Alamos has not separated itself into enclaves. You and I have compared notes about going to college in New England, many years apart, but nonetheless. Boston was a whole set of enclaves, I guess, back there in the 50s and 60s, and I think it still is to a great extent.
Yeah,
And I've always been impressed with how homogeneous Los Alamos is.
you don't have that sense here. In the beginning, there was a sense of the ones who